So recently I realized that I have access to just about every P365 series gun on the market right now, and I figured it would be helpful to put together a video comparing them all and offering my recommendations for which one might be best for you. I'm going to be comparing the guns in categories rather than going gun by gun. So first, I'm going to compare the guns on shootability, optics compatibility, holster compatibility, and cost, followed by my overall recommendations. So first, some people might ask about triggers as part of shootability, and I can say that they're all fine. They're all pretty much the same, and if you have a shape preference, you can always switch those out. The P365-380 is by far the easiest of the P365 variants to shoot. The recoil is super low, so you can shoot as fast as you can see the sights without the recoil bouncing your sights off target or shaking your grip loose. But I had some reliability issues with it, so make sure to vet yours thoroughly. If you'd like more on that, go watch my full video on the P365-380. The Spectre comp is the easiest in the 9mm category to shoot. This is probably due to a couple of things: the comp and the full-size grip, as well as laser stippling. The compensator built into the slide pushes gas from the cartridge up to counteract muzzle flip, which in turn makes the slide track very flat and makes the gun less snappy. The longer grip gives you more to hang on to, and the laser stippling makes the grip texture more coarse and gives my hands more feedback when I'm shooting. Because of the extra slide mass and the longer grip, the P365XL is the third easiest to shoot. The heavier slide doesn't smack you around as much as the short slide guns when you're shooting, but there is still a bit of bounce and recoil, so you might lose your dot and recoil if your recoil management isn't great. The P365X is the next most difficult to shoot. The short slide cycles really quickly and gives you a good pop in the hands with each shot. This pop makes the gun bounce up in such a way that the dot is more likely to leave the window. It returns well, but it's still a factor to consider. I shot this gun in Riley Bowman's pistol intelligence class, and after about 300 rounds, the joints in my hand started to really bother me. To simulate the P365, I paired my P365X slide with a standard P365 grip module. The P365 is by far the most difficult to shoot. The small grip combined with the short slide really makes it tougher to keep on target and also beats up my joints after a few hundred rounds. That said, it isn't so hard to shoot that I can't manage it acceptably, so I do carry it in this configuration when I need a smaller gun because it's much easier for someone my size to conceal the shorter grip. To summarize this section, the P365-380 is by far the easiest one to shoot, with the Spectre comp coming in second, and pretty much every gun after that, the smaller the gun gets, the more difficult it is to shoot. In my opinion, the P365X and the XL are tied for first place when it comes to optics compatibility, with the P365-380 and the Spectre comp coming in second in terms of optics compatibility. And the reason for this is because the X and the XL, although you lose your rear sight, you're going to be able to mount the optic further back on the slide, which is going to keep it further away from the loaded chamber indicator and therefore the ejection port. Whereas with the P365-380 and the Spectre comp, the optic is going to sit further up and therefore closer to the ejection port and the loaded chamber indicator, which is going to allow dirt and oil and gunk to dirty up your dot window a lot more quickly. And then of course the standard P365 is going to come in last place for optics compatibility because as far as I know, you cannot buy the P365 optics ready. The P365X, the XL, Spectre comp, and P365-380 are all compatible with common red dots like Hollison's 407 and 507Ks and the soon to come out EPS. With the P365 series being one of the most popular platforms for concealed carry right now, just about any quality Kydex holster maker is going to have compatible holsters for any of the P365 series guns. That said, the P365 and the P365X are going to come in first place in terms of holster compatibility because those two can fit in standard P365 holsters as well as P365XL holsters. So there's a lot of options for those two specifically. And then coming in second place would be the Spectre comp and the P365XL, because those are going to both be able to fit in any P365XL holster. Unfortunately, the P365 380 has some iffy compatibility issues, and that's mainly caused because the slide on the 380 is ever so slightly thinner, which allows for a little bit of slop in holster fit, specifically with fixed retention holsters. By using an adjustable retention holster, you might be able to take out some of the slop in the holster fit with the 380, but I haven't been able to personally test that yet. Most of these guns can be found for less, but I'm going to be basing these price quotes off of MSRP or near MSRP. The Spectre comp is going to be the most expensive and costs between $1,100 and $1,300. Next is the P365XL. This one usually costs between $600 and $700. And then the P365X, this one again, usually costs between $600 and $700. For the most part, you're going to be able to find the P365 380 between $500 and $600. And finally, the standard P365 can usually be found for $500 or less. In this section, I'm going to be going through each gun and making recommendations for who that gun might fit best in terms of the features as well as the size. One thing I'm going to be talking about in this section is hip-to-hip distance, and if you don't know what that is or how it relates to overall concealability, I have a video on it right here, and I'll also link that down in the description. It's basically just a way to tell which guns you will be able to conceal well based on your body size. I'd recommend the standard P365 if you are on a budget, are not interested in using an optic, have decent grip strength and technique, and are looking for the smallest possible package that is still 9mm. If your hip-to-hip distance is smaller than 10.5 inches, note that carrying a gun this size will require a good bit of effort to conceal reliably on your frame, but if it's larger than 10.5 inches, it should be pretty easy to carry concealed. The P365 380 is perfect for someone who doesn't have very much grip strength or is recoil sensitive, or for someone that wants to be able to shoot a small gun at a high level pretty easily. But just like the P365 and 9mm, if your hip-to-hip distance is smaller than 10.5 inches, note that carrying a gun this size will require a good bit of effort to conceal reliably on your frame. And I'd also caveat yet again that holster compatibility may be more of a challenge with this one until holster companies start rolling out holsters specifically for it. I'd recommend the P365X to anyone who wants to have an optics-ready P365. All you need to do is buy the X, swap the grip to the smaller one, and pick up a shorter magazine. If you're going to get an XL length grip, then I'd recommend getting a P365XL or the Spectre comp. The short muzzle combined with the long grip combo actually makes the gun harder to conceal than the longer barrel guns for most body types. And this is because of things like the keel principle. If you want more information on things like the keel principle and other concealment mechanics, I would recommend checking out the videos I have linked down in the description and this video linked up above. The P365XL is probably the best value in terms of performance for the money. It's still very shootable without being as expensive as the Spectre comp. If you are looking to get a P365 platform gun and your hip-to-hip distance is larger than 12 inches, then this will be highly shootable and concealable platform. But if your hip-to-hip distance is smaller than 12 inches, then the longer grip will require a solid understanding of concealment fundamentals to be able to conceal well. If you want to learn more about concealment fundamentals, check out the resources I have linked down in the description. And lastly, I'd recommend the Spectre comp to anyone who wants to close the gap in their shooting performance between these micro guns and bigger guns like the Glock 19. There is a performance improvement, but the cost to get it is pretty significant. Just like the P365XL, if your hip-to-hip distance is larger than 12 inches, this will be pretty simple to conceal, but if your hip-to-hip distance is smaller than 12 inches, the long grip will require a pretty solid understanding of concealment fundamentals to be able to conceal well. Thanks for watching this comparison video. I hope that I answered most of the questions that you had comparing these different guns, and that now at the end of this video, you have a better idea for which one is going to work best for your needs. Thanks again, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.